You just loaded up TM Talk, the one pod to learn it all. I'm Professor Tommy.
And I'm Professor Ashley. Whether you're new to the Pokemon TCG or a seasoned trainer, we're here to help you level up your play, master the rulings, and grow your community one episode at a time.
Hey, welcome back. Thanks again for listening to another episode of TM Talk. I am Professor Tommy. I am once again joined by my co-host, Professor Ashley. And today we have another installment to our So I Want to Be series. But this one is kind of a little bit different. So I want to build a Pokemon community. So we're going to talk about kind of how we got here with our Pokemon League, what we thought kept people coming, keep coming back, and made it such a great community that we have today, where people totally feel welcomed and have fun coming to play with us. So stay tuned, come and listen to all that. But first, as always, reach out to us, talk to us. We are hoping to welcome you to our community. Send us your questions, send us your topic ideas, talk to us, just say hi. Reach out to us at tmtalkpodcast@gmail.com. You can also reach us on all the socials, X, YouTube, Instagram, at TM Talk Podcast. Come and check out our cool posts that are being made and talking about our current episodes, and let us know how you feel about that. Also, drop a like, subscribe, please, if you would, so that way you don't miss a great episode that are coming your way. So yeah, I think I covered all that. So Ashley, as we always do, how you been doing this week?
As I always do, I've been doing pretty good so far. I've been super busy this week trying to get ready for a garage sale. Trying to get all that stuff together is such a hassle, and there's so much that I need to get rid of. I've even been considering going through like my bulk and stuff and throwing some of that in there, but I don't know. We'll see how it goes. It's in a couple days, so hopefully I can do well, but I'm gonna have to miss Pokemon, unfortunately, this weekend.
No.
So I will not be playing with anybody, but I will be back next week for some more Pokemon. How have you been doing this week, Tommy?
I've been doing pretty good. And don't worry, we're going to bring the league to you. We're going to come to the garage sale, and we're just going to play. We're just going to throw all your stuff on the ground, use the tables to play games. Don't worry, we'll be there. No, but that's rough. I know, trying to get rid of stuff that you guys have or that you have accumulated for a long time, probably, and try to get rid of that is like kind of hard to be like, well, you know what? I may use this one day.
There's always that thought, like, what if I used it? What if I need this in like a year? And then it never ends up happening. At this point, I'm just throwing stuff in there because I'm like, I need to get it out of here, refresh my mind. Let's get a clean space so I can create some stuff and have like an actual setup to do these podcasts and more content elsewhere. So that's my goal.
Yeah, for sure. And that's awesome. Yeah, I guess that is a good rule of thumb, right? You know, if you haven't used it in a year, you probably don't need it. So get rid of it. But I have been doing pretty good. We have, I think, you know, if you all have been listening to it, you know, we kind of touched on it. We've had some kind of logistical issues with our Pokemon League, trying to figure out where we're going to be playing at and things like that. But I think we've kind of turned a corner. Found a new place to go to and kind of make it a regular spot again for everybody. So just kind of getting back in that groove. So it's great to see and great to have all the support that we get from our community that comes out and all of our regulars that come through all the time, making sure that we have people show up. So thank you for that. Besides Pokemon, I do work a lot. I have a lot of projects coming up at my job that has kind of taken my time away from playing personally some Pokemon and some other games I like to play, and kind of just done that, but still try to make time for the family, for the kids. We went to like a carnival today, which was pretty fun. Kids had a blast. It was a good time. Saw a lot of good people, a lot of good friends. So having a good time and looking forward to right now it's October. So we have Halloween coming up and Pokeween. Always, right? Pokemon always does something cool for Halloween. So looking to see if we can do a costume contest like we did last year, again with our league, and kind of doing some Halloween themed maybe tournament as we did, where we played only spooky type Pokemon. So kind of take that as it is. But those are some of the things that I enjoy doing with our league, that we see a lot of people like to show up for in the community and have fun with that. That's kind of a little bit of what we're going to talk about today. Is kind of, hey, how can you make your Pokemon community something fun and engaging for everybody to show up and have fun. So I think that's definitely like the core goals of like what you want to do as a building a Pokemon community, and also being a professor, right? You want to make sure your league or your community or your group is, of course, inclusive. It's fun. It's also consistent in how they meet up and when they meet up. From all that, you kind of start building a community around it to kind of, have people of like interest together. You can get along with, play your favorite game with, or just enjoy Pokemon any way you like to with each other. So I think that's kind of like the core goals that we have there, right? And like I feel like those pillars of success, right, is that consistency. To keep people coming, you have to kind of show up at the same time, same place, so that way people know where it is. They don't always have to guess. Try to go find where you're going to be meeting up at. Have it accessible, right? And what I mean by that is that not only that is it some place where everybody knows where it is and they have access to it. There's not like a cover charge at the door or something like that, but also your league itself kind of do a test about how welcoming is your league to new players. Do you have a lot of seasoned players that play very competitively? How are they with new players coming in? And of course, the last pillar of success there is going to be that communication, right? How do you get your word across using social media, Discord, Facebook, word of mouth between each other, and then just kind of making sure everybody's kind of connected together. So, and to my ideas, when we're talking about Pokemon community and saying like what kind of makes it successful, I think those are those three things that really come to mind for that. What about you, Ashley? What kind of things do you think make a Pokemon community successful?
One of the biggest things that I feel like really makes a community successful is just the ability to make sure that you have everybody that feels welcome. I remember whenever I first started playing, and the town that I lived in, they had a local card shop, but the Pokemon scene wasn't super big. And so I tried to go in there, but it didn't, like, the store owners were great. Um, there was one, he was really into Pokemon. He was really great, but the players, I didn't really like get the sense of really feeling like I belonged there. And then I went to a different town, which was about an hour away, and they actually made me feel a little bit more welcome and like excited that I was going to be there. I actually found them through a Discord and started talking to some of them, and that's how I became friends with them and found those leagues. And I decided to drive up there one night, and they all were like, "Hey, let's do this. Welcome." And that was pretty much how I got into it. So having the ability to actually make sure that you have people that are welcoming and that you feel welcome, like it makes such a huge difference in the community, for sure.
Oh yeah, 100%. I agree with you, and that's something that we kind of try to be conscious about in our own league too, is that there is a core group that plays a lot, that is very, can be competitive, but I don't think they've lost that fun aspect of it, right? Like they don't play it as a job. They play it to have fun, and they have fun competing. And so understanding that have fun competing and to compete, you need players to compete against. So when anytime somebody new shows up, it should be a welcoming aspect to them, having them come in, sit down, make sure that, hey, like, what are your thoughts about Pokemon? Have you played before? Are you interested in learning? Do you have a deck? Do you want to borrow one? I feel like it's so great with our community because that we do see that a lot, like where we kind of bring new players in and say, hey, are you interested in learning? Here's a deck. Like I have a couple decks you can play with and try it out. Let me teach you some of the rules about it. We also have Ashley donated a whole the starter kit academy from Pokemon. So we have like the 3 beginner basic decks in there too. So a lot of times when younger players come in, don't know how to play, or even older players, if they've never played the game before at all, instead of like overwhelming their brain with so much information from all these competitive decks that have so many things going on, we grab those decks and play with them like that and show them kind of how did the game work. So that's really cool. I think that's really important to know, is to make sure that your community understands that the more the merrier, right? The more players that we have that can learn the game, that can play the game, the more competitors we're going to have. So we can do these fun tournaments, these competitive tournaments, and you can really test yourself against them. And especially if you want to be super competitive and you want to go to bigger tournaments like regionals and internationals and even worlds one day, you need that testing group. You need um, that experience of other players to help you play against. And there's no better way to find that than at your local community. So, and I think, you touched on a really good subject there, Ashley. Kind of in your story, right? You were a player, you wanted to meet other players and be a part of a league or a community of Pokemon players, and you found a league, you went to one, you realized it wasn't for you, it wasn't the right fit, didn't feel okay, and you found another one, right? So as a player, you definitely have those tools out there that are available to you to help you find official leagues that are out there right away. You can use Pokemon.com and scour their events, and you can actually find when leagues are meeting in your area, and you can kind of look those up and see how that fits into your schedule. But also, too, as Ashley said, right, she found another group on Discord. So definitely using social media, trying to reach out. I mean, just searching your town name and Pokemon, and trying to see what comes up from that. Maybe there is a group in your town that isn't an official Pokemon League, but it's a community group, a grassroots group that meets and plays together. So they're not being listed on Pokemon.com, but they meet regularly and play the game and still have fun. So, yeah, I think that's what is really important about your community like that, And I think back when we started the Enid League, even before then, we were meeting at a library, and it was just pretty much one person who was posting on Facebook that said, "Hey, if I'm doing a Pokemon meetup at the library, if you'd like to join, this is what time I'm going to be there." And it was the same time on Saturdays, and we would meet up and kind of you started seeing more of the same people show up time and time again. And then it just kind of turned into something where we're excited to see each other every week, right? Every weekend, and sit down and play and have a good time and see what everybody has built for their decks and what have they been cooking up recently, and learning about the game together, and getting to that skill level of competition together, and then meeting more and more players that were interested in knowing a little bit more and sharing those ideas. So I think that's pretty cool. Like, what you're kind of looking for is to have a group that wants you to play, that wants new people to play. So what other things do you think people should look for in a Pokemon League when they're looking to try to find one, or like the community of players they should play with?
Um, something like that I personally always do, like if we have new players come in, and they want to play, a lot of the times, if I know that they don't play competitive decks, then I'll just ask them, "Hey, do you want to play a competitive, or do you just want to play like a casual deck?" Because if they say casual, then a lot of the times I go grab like a Battle Academy deck, or I try to have one that's not like non-meta deck on me all the time, but it doesn't always happen. So the Battle Academy decks are really good for that. So just finding like what people like too. So I know sometimes it's really hard to go into somewhere new and be like, "Oh, hey, I want to play," and just kind of put yourself out there. But sometimes you kind of have to put yourself out there. But as a league, if you're already established, or if you're trying to get more people in, you also have to be really inviting for them and kind of put yourself out there, because if you don't put yourself out there, then you can't grow the league. So if you see somebody new come in, just be like, "Hey, my name is so and so. Um, what do you like to do, and what kind of deck do you want to play?" That's kind of what I do a lot. So I would definitely see like what kind of games they play, and then just kind of go from there.
Yeah. Yeah, and I try to do the same thing, and I think you hit the nail on the head where you say, as if you're already established league, and let's say you're a professor, or even if you're just a player at that league, you should really keep your eye out for those new players, especially for maybe younger ones that are a little bit shy, and you can kind of tell if they're interested because they're kind of walking around looking what everybody's doing. They go back and forth and they don't know what to do. So that's why it's really important as a professor, one, to kind of dress to stand out. When I mean, like, you don't have to put on a 3-piece suit or like your favorite prom dress, but like maybe wear a Pokemon T-shirt, or if you have your professor jersey, wear it, while you're at league. So that way, anybody new shows up, they can spot you right away. That you kind of stand out. You look a little bit official, or at least you look like a Pokemon connoisseur, and you kind of know what you're talking about. But also too, um, be open to talking to those people. I remember, we have a regular right now that comes to our league all the time. He's a younger player. And the first time that he came to our league and he kind of popped in with a hoodie over his head, kind of was like looking back and forth, had the deck in their hand. And I was playing in the middle of a game with somebody else. And I kind of saw them and I was trying to see what was going on. Maybe they're interested or not, or maybe they knew somebody there. And then all of a sudden I saw them starting to walk out. And I said, I paused my game. I said, hey, hold on a second. And so I kind of went around the corner. I said, hey, how you doing? Like, I introduced myself. Hey, how you doing? My name's Tommy. I'm the league owner here, and I'm also a Pokemon professor. Do you know what that is? And kind of talk to them like, what's your name? Explain what a Pokemon professor is. And just kind of said like, hey, like, did you want to come in and hang out and see what it's all about? And lo and behold, they're a little shy. I'm like, yeah, I do actually, and that'd be pretty cool. I'm like, oh, great. And I, bring them in and I point them to somebody who wasn't playing, another younger player. And I said, hey, you know what? Actually, so and so here is looking for somebody to play against. And what's your name? And introduce them, and make sure that the other player understood, like, hey, this is something that you should like meet. And they got along, hit it off the bat, and lo and behold, that young guy is now local. Like, he's a regular for us. He comes every week and he helps other kids who shows up and don't know what they're doing, or they might be a little shy. He's always reaching out to them and trying to make them welcome too. So those are those things as a professor you need to kind of keep your eyes on, right? I think we all want to play, right? That's why we like being like Pokemon and want to show up, and probably want to be a professor to make sure like the league is being ran, or that we that we can share that love of Pokemon with other people. So you got to make sure you keep your eyes open for those kind of things and not let that opportunity to pass you by to have somebody else new to join your group. And with that too, make sure that you teach your other players how to play these more casual versions of Pokemon to make it more inviting for new players. Because really, playing a full 60 card TCG deck can be intimidating to some people and can maybe turn them off from the game. But there's other cool ways to play the game as well. Like we have, the alternate format handbook, which is out there from Pokemon. You can find on the resources tab on Pokemon.com. You can use that to find out other formats and other ways to play. Like PokeCatch is a big one that kind of introduced a lot of people on how to play Pokemon at our league. And the reason for that is because it's just a fun, simple game that everybody likes to play. So, and I'll give you an example. My wife does not play Pokemon at all. She can't. She's like, it's too much for me. It's too many words. It's too many rules. It's too much remembering stuff. She likes to collect though. But man, if I told like I showed her PokeCatch and she goes, okay, I'll play that. And she literally like she likes playing it, and she plays it with the kids and all that kind of stuff and has fun with it. And that's the way she likes to enjoy Pokemon. She likes to collect, but PokeCatch is not so much pressure. It's easy rules. I mean, it kind of introduces you to the fundamentals of the game too, right? It's the attaching of energies, understanding how many energies you need for a certain attack, the color of energies per color of Pokemon, things like that. So all those alternate format games in that handbook are games that you can play that kind of leads you up to playing of the full regular TCG, or just other fun ways just to enjoy Pokemon cards. So like you do like pack battles, You can play like the raids, which I think is a lot of fun for a lot of the kids because a lot of times you want to play with your favorite Pokemon, and that raid battle allows you just to grab two Pokemon, whichever one as it is, and you partner up with three other friends and try to battle the raid boss and try to take down the raid boss with how those rules are played. So it's pretty cool and fun and exciting for them as well.
And the nice thing about the alternative playbook is it has different formats, but they're also based on like beginner, intermediate, and advanced formats too. So it actually tells you like if you're actually looking for something easy for beginners, you can go into the beginner tab and there's a few in there. Or if they're a little bit more advanced and they just want to play something completely different and they just don't want to play regular, you can go into the advanced formats like the raid format or like Ditto Draft, and all of the rules are in the alternative play handbook. So even if you don't really know how to play it at that point, you can learn along with them, and it's always fun learning things along with other people because then it shows that you're human as well, and that even though you're a professor you don't know everything and you can still learn as well, and it kind of puts you guys on the same playing field.
Yeah, for sure, and that's definitely correct. Um, showing that human aspect of yourself and just saying like, hey, like I'm learning with you, and it's also fun too. Like there's a lot of those formats are a lot of fun to do, something new to try and a new way to enjoy your cards. So maybe you have your favorite competitive deck, but you're playing that all the time. It might get a little mundane, right, to play that all the time. So trying out these different formats is a fun way to kind of like use the rest of the cards you have that are lying around in your binder or in your bulk stash somewhere. You can be looking to build these decks for PokeCatch or GLC even and things like that. So it's fun things to do with that, and I think it really does help people kind of feel like it doesn't always have to be competitive, and that's something that I always have to try to put my finger on that pulse to make sure, are we doing too much competitive stuff, and are we making people feel like that's what they have to do to play at the league. So you always have to kind of like find that balance between doing your cups and challenges. Um, those friendly tournaments are just standard format, and whatever like that. And then also incorporating those fun tournaments, those friendly tournaments, creating your own formats, like we just talked about earlier with Halloween, and just saying, hey, you know what, we're going to do a spooky themed format. Though if you're always into friendly tournaments, I always start off with eliminating EXs. Eliminate EXs, play with those single prize cards, and then kind of work it from there. When we created the spooky format, it was you have to play with at least three spooky type Pokemon, whether that's ghost type or that they're just scary looking, or what, like when you look at them and you think that's Halloween, that's what it was. And it's kind of open to interpretation, so whatever you wanted to play with. We did ban the Duskull Dusknoir line to keep it a little bit more fair too, or else everybody's going to play that.
Mm-hmm.
And then and I think that was like really the only rules, was that you couldn't play EXs, you couldn't play the Dusknoir line, and you just had to play with spooky Pokemon. And then from there, people had tons of fun with that, building those decks. We even had a very competitive player who was like, I'm only going to play competitive, build that deck for that spooky tournament because they're like, okay, let me try it out. And they're like, this is fun. I want to do other stuff like this. I want to try GLC. I want to try Expanded. I want to try all this other stuff where I get to play with these other types of cards and use my brain power a little bit to build these decks. So that's
Mm-hmm.
always fun, and I think it captures the spirit of Pokemon, right? Where it's not just about competing, it's not just about going to tournaments and trying to win, but it's about having fun with those cards, looking at those Pokemon and saying, you know what, I really like Mimikyu, and I want to build a deck with Mimikyu. How can I make Mimikyu the star of this deck, and how can I do that? And how can I help? Can other people help me do that?
It really helps bring out the innovation in deck building as well, because a lot of people when they start playing meta decks and being super competitive, they kind of lose that, not necessarily lose the aspect of it, but they kind of dip out of deck building, and they kind of just play with the list. And so playing the different formats really helps integrate all of the different uh, styles that people might have, and it can bring some really cool decks. Like we had one player one time. I made a format and it was no EXs, and then I banned a few different cards as well. They literally had like 4 different Pokemon in their deck, and somehow it worked, and they won like either 2 or 3 of their games, and it was crazy. So giving people the opportunity to build different types of decks can really bring out their creativity. And for people like me who actually really, really love that, it makes them want to come back too, because then they don't feel like they have to do the same thing all the time. It gives them the opportunity to play something different, which is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what it should be about, right? It should be about having fun, building those decks, stretching your brain a little bit, thinking about how some cards can work together, what's the synergy, and not just what's on Limitless or what's been being successful the past couple of regionals or things like that. So I think it's pretty awesome. And as we talk about growth, I think one thing I want to discuss too is that it's kind of like think outside your own box, right? And don't just think, okay, well, I need to do a front. Let me do tournaments. That'll bring people in. Let me do, the regular standard tournaments. Now let's talk about, GLC and expanded, and I'll talk about fun game nights and things like that. But also think about, okay, how can I get the word out that Pokemon's fun, right? To other people that maybe that are watching the show or play the video game. And how do I tell the people who play video games and go that they can come to our league and play as well? So, one thing I did was I created we did a Pokemon 101 kind of like summer camp a little bit. Took 2 hours out of the week every single day out of the week for a week, and taught people to play Pokemon from beginning to end. So pretty much we started off with what is a Pokemon card? What are the parts of the card? Let's play Catch. Okay, does everybody like Catch? Who wants to stay on Catch? Who wants to learn a little bit more? Okay, let's do that. Let's move this way. And kind of going up to playing competitive style decks at the end of it, right? So that's something you can do, right? It's kind of like put out there to the community, and we try to put it out there on Facebook. We made flyers, put those out there, and a lot of people showed up that don't normally come to the store or even to league, and came and wanted to play and learn how to play, and a lot of people had a good time with it. And then to touch on a bit earlier, what I said is inviting the video game and Go players to come play as well. That is also part of Pokemon. It's not just TCG. So finding out when the community days are in Pokemon Go, highlighting that and putting that on your league page and saying, hey, we're going to do a community day. Everybody's going to meet up. Hey, maybe there's a special raid battles. Hey, a group of us is going to go and do some of these raid battles, like please show up and play, and the more the merrier, all that kind of stuff. So being aware of those other special days that are out there, even now with the Shiny Miraidon and Koraidon that are in video game, right? Hey, come into the store, show off your new shiny Pokemon. Let's do Terra raids on VG together. Let's, all this kind of stuff. So tons of things you can do and think outside the box to gather people around to have fun. That's the biggest thing. Just whatever you think about, just would you have fun doing it? And I'm sure if you would have fun doing it, other people are going to have fun doing it too. So that's, so that's kind of like the things that we've kind of learned and are still learning and still trying to incorporate. It's still really difficult to try to build our video game community. I think most of it you could do online now. You don't even have to leave your house to play in a challenge, to play all the different tournaments on VG. So I find it very difficult to try to see like how can we make this more that people want to show up and play and things like that. So it's a learning in progress. If you have any suggestions or ideas on how we can make video game players feel more welcome to the league and come out, or if you have any success stories that you've done, share it with us. Reach us on our email at tmtalkpodcast@gmail.com, and also on socials at tmtalkpodcast. You have any other ideas on how maybe you can grow a league, Ashley, or keep people coming?
So with our league being a lot of kiddos. Like we have a lot of younger players. I think also making sure that not only do the kids feel welcome, but also get to know your parents of the kids. I think building the relationships between the parents and you as a professor really help continue bringing the have them bringing the kids to do something that they like, because then they also you can build that trust between you guys. um, but it also gives them a heads up like, hey, this is what we're doing, this is when we're doing it, and just keeping them up to date. I mean, just because we're professors, but we're also kind of like teachers sometimes. And as a teacher, you really have to be communicative with your parents. And so just making sure that you build that relationship with your parents, it makes it a better overall experience for the kids and the parents as well.
Yeah, I mean that's such a great point, Ashley, because it is definitely when you involve the parents, you involve the person who's not only bringing that child but also is, of course, in their mindset, like want to make their kid happy and play somewhere where they see that they're having a good time. And if they don't know what's going on in the league or they don't understand how it works, it may be difficult for them to see the value of why they should continue to bring their kid to Pokemon. Because yeah, maybe their kid likes it, but like, well, but why are we going? Because there's only adults there that are playing or whatever, right? Like whatever concerns there may be for a parent there, you can address those concerns with that parent while you're at league, showing them this is what we do. This is how we encourage young players to come and play and things like that. And, even though they may be playing against adults, sometimes these adults are having fun playing with them and showing them new things and socializing them and having them feel more comfortable talking to other people.
Like for us, we've been having some issues with our league, like we've stated, and one of our parents has actually reached out and tried to give us some help in those situations as well. So it really shows the community when you get the parents involved.
Yeah, for sure. And it's been great knowing that community's out there and like appreciates that we're here and tries to help us out by sticking around. Um, and you get that from building that trust and that connection. And as we talk about difficult times or challenges, lessons learned from having a league, it's sometimes you have to make sure that the venue you're at is a safe and open and welcoming place for anybody to attend to. And if it's not, then you need to get your community somewhere where it is. Bottom line, that's exactly what should happen there. And also, too, the biggest thing, too, I think a lot of times that we ran into was scheduling conflicts, right? And when the league first started, I was the only one that was able to organize and judge these tournaments. So I had to like figure out, okay, what's going on in my personal life. I have to make sure I leave this weekend open because I'm doing something at home. I got to schedule this tournament this weekend. Oh, but I can't because it's a time of regionals and most of the players are going to be gone. It doesn't make sense to host a tournament if nobody's going to show up. Let me move this around and try to figure out those different things in my life. And like, oh, like I can't run this on a Wednesday. Nobody can show up on Wednesday. Let me, I got to make sure this is on a weekend where everybody can show up. So it does help. One, being organized. So having a calendar, marking all your important time. Two, it really helped me out a lot was Ashley and our other professor, Danny, becoming professors, becoming organizers and judges and sharing that load with me. So I appreciated that a lot when they did that because then it kind of opened up my schedule, made me less stressed about figuring out what's going on with Pokemon. And we were able to swap off months. So that way, one of us was doing all the tournaments in 1 month and then the other two could play, and then we would switch down the road and just making that much open where I can say, hey, I need to take a weekend off so I don't get burned out from Pokemon or that I have something I have to get done or do around the home. And I know that Pokemon's still going to be going and people are still going to be able to be meeting because that's one of my latent fears, right? Is if I don't host Pokemon, nobody's ever going to show up again, right? So, but also being consistent, making sure people understand, hey, we are meeting on a weekly basis, and we're still here, we're still playing, we're still doing our thing. I think the other thing too is is not taking attendance dips personally, because there is just times where people can show up all the time and then life happens. And there's times where parents can't bring kids to Pokemon because they have others, like they have like other outside activities. They have school stuff, sports, and other extracurricular activities that they're doing that take up that time. And maybe they'll be back, maybe they won't, and that's okay. It's not, don't take it as a reflection of you. Just try to find out if you can what happened. So if it is something about the league itself, you can kind of make yourself aware of it and try to make it better. But most of the time, it's not anything about you or the league or how the people are. It's literally how life happens. And maybe it was a thing that people were into and now they're not because something else got in the way. Or even burnout. Burnout is a big thing that I've seen with a lot of our players, especially competitive players, playing so much and being worried about the grind of trying to get points and to be on the leaderboard and to prove that they're doing really well, can lead to you forgetting why you're playing Pokemon in the first place, which is to have fun. So addressing that with some of your players and maybe being there for them when they have those kind of times where like, oh, I'm done playing or whatever like that. It's like, hey, you know what? Let's put down our competitive decks, bust out a fun deck. Let's have fun playing. Let's play the VG. Let's, explore other avenues to decrease that pressure they may feel from playing or getting that burnout sensation. What kind of things have you ran into, kind of challenges you've ran into, Ashley, as we've done this league?
Um, I think one of the biggest things is kind of just being burnt out sometimes. And it's not necessarily just from doing this, because you guys, I love Pokemon so much, but sometimes your personal life and Pokemon, it just kind of collides and it stacks up. Like, I'll just use last month for an example. Like in September, I ran all of the events for Pokemon, but I also had a jam packed full month. Like, I had something going on every single weekend. And by the end of the month, I was just like, I don't want to play. Like, I want to play, but I'm so tired. So sometimes it just, like, life happens. Um, that's really been the biggest thing for me. Kind of backtracking on scheduling and stuff. Something that kind of helps as a league too is talking to your players, because like we try to kind of talk to our players and be like, hey, we're thinking about hosting this weekend, and kind of getting a feel for how many of our players can actually show up, because we want to have the best attendance for our challenges or even just like your local every week league day. So talking to your players about like which days work best, which days don't. Because like Wednesdays, some people go to church on Wednesdays. Um, so sometimes having a Wednesday league is not the best. Like right now, there's a couple of our kiddos that have stuff going on Tuesdays, and that's typically whenever we have league. But sometimes it's just gonna happen. But if you talk to your players about, hey, when is the best time that works for you guys, but also works for you as a professor, and kind of mesh that together, you can come up with the best way to schedule all of your events.
Yeah, no, that's correct. That's what we do, right? We're like, hey, when we want to do the challenge, when we want to do the cup, that works out for everybody. And I think that also kind of runs into, dealing with different personalities, and maintaining a positive environment, because sometimes there may not always be a time where it meets for everybody, right? And it's kind of like, okay, how do I handle this situation where, somebody wants to run it on one Saturday and they're like, well, that doesn't work for everybody else, and what about this next Saturday? Well, that doesn't work for me, and you can't make everybody happy at the same time, right? But there's going to be a time where it's like majority rules. Hey, look, the most people can attend these events, and then also understanding that like with a community of people, you're going to run into a lot of different personalities. And sometimes a lot of personalities don't clash well with each other, and that's okay. And then just how to but how do you maintain that positive environment, make sure that people still enjoy coming and want to play and still want to play with each other. Um, so trying to tackle that is really like a juggling act, right? Is trying to understand how people get along and how people, can put differences aside. That there's common ground because they're there to play Pokemon. So those people there like something the same, they both like the same thing, which is Pokemon. So trying to maybe express that maybe the relationship can be based on like, hey, I like playing Pokemon, you like playing Pokemon, let's talk about Pokemon. We can play these games, or just, hey, you know what? We're here to have fun. It shouldn't be about your guys' differences. It should be about having a good time while you're at League. So if that means that maybe you just don't play with that person, then don't play with that person. But it doesn't have to be where we have to choose one person over the other. It's just as long as everybody can be um, adult about it, or I guess mature about it, because sometimes it could happen with kids too. Um, that, hey, like, just we're here to have fun, and it's okay that you don't get along with everybody, but we're all here together to build a community together. So trying to just get past that issue and come to common grounds is the best advice I can give you for that if you're having a clash of personalities in there. What are your thoughts on that, Ashley, and how do you think you can handle those kind of conflicts?
Sometimes they're kind of hard to deal with because you want to make sure that you're not taking one person's side, and you kind of need to be more of a neutral ground. And if you can see that these two people are not like, are kind of starting to clash, maybe you just kind of step in and be like, hey, uh, I'll play with you. And then, hey, how about you go play with somebody else for a little bit? And maybe just kind of figure out a way to make the ground back neutral and kind of get rid of the whatever is making them clash. It's really difficult sometimes. And it may just be one of those things where you have to talk to the player outside of Pokemon, and just kind of be like, hey, I know you're having issues. Is there anything that I can do to help? Um, or maybe like help me help you, basically. Because we want to make sure that this is welcoming for everybody. We want to make sure everybody's having fun. We want to make sure it stays a positive environment. And sometimes it's just hard when people have different personalities, but we also have to be respectful of people, because Pokemon is very inclusive, and everybody, if you want to play Pokemon, you can play Pokemon.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think the bottom line is as long as it's a safe and welcoming environment. Sometimes maybe the conflict gets to the point where maybe this league is not big enough for the both of them, right? So it does have to be okay. How do I make this a safe and welcoming environment for everybody else? Because if you get cut the tension in the room with a knife, then it's not going to be a welcoming place for new players to come, or even those other players that aren't involved can feel that and like, oh, I don't want to be a part of this, and um, so making that tough choice and the tough decision of like, hey, look, either you have to settle this and be civil while you're here, or I would just prefer then maybe you guys find other leagues to play at, because it does make it uncomfortable for everybody else for you two to be here. And I'm not picking one over the other unless somebody gets crazy and violent and something like that. And then it's like, okay, well, that's an easy choice to make. But if it's just, making it a weird environment for everybody else, it has to be settled, or it's just going to have to be, hey, look, I'm sorry. We have to think about everybody else who's here at this time.
Mhm.
Right. And sometimes, and I think that's enough for them to be like, hey, you know what? I don't want to lose this. I made so many friends here. I made so much good memories here. I don't want to ruin that. I don't want to have to leave that behind. So let me just settle this right away. And sometimes people can just have a hard time, hard time in their life that bleeds over into other things. Maybe because Ashley gave them a ruling that wasn't in their favor. It went wrong for them, and I'm kidding. But but that is some of the aspect of it too, because maybe handling those rule enforcements on those sportsman like issues. during a tournament and things like that, you want to make sure you handle those things where people don't get salty about those kind of rulings, and they understand why it's happening. It's not that you're picking on them. It's not that you're trying to single them out. But it's, hey, this is why this happened. If we're playing a tournament, this is why you got this ruling. This is where it says why this is, and this is how we fix this, and this is what we do to take away the advantage that you got from what you did. Make that clear and honest. Be open with them, explaining them the process, and making sure that they understand why those rules are in place during tournament plays and things like that. And also too, like the sportsmanship. I think a lot of people forget sportsmanship is part of Pokemon in the tournament rule book. So if you have a bad attitude, if you are making fun of somebody for their deck that they're playing or the way that they play, or even if you're just out there being loud and aggressive and trying to intimidate your opponents and things like that with mental jabs and of the sort, that's all against the rule book of playing Pokemon. So ensuring that you don't foster that mentality and that kind of play in your league is very important. And as players, to make sure that you don't buy into that, and you don't start festering that kind of mentality in your league either, because it is very, the Pokemon TCG and Pokemon in general, when you get to those levels, can be very competitive, right? And you want to be very competitive and you want to win. And sometimes competitiveness can overshadow the cooperativeness and the fun that you have during this game. So just making sure that the attitude is always checked, and that you make sure that everybody's having fun while they're playing. What other issues or challenges or lessons learned have you found, Ashley, from us doing the league so far?
I feel like we've definitely dealt with some challenges. We've had a couple players be very competitive, so we've kind of dealt with some of that. And some just kind of dealing with the burnout of playing Pokemon. So I've just kind of helped them kind of reset their brain and be like, hey, remember, like, everybody has to start somewhere. And even if you lose like 3 games in a row, that doesn't make you a terrible player. So it's something that I've really learned, especially from working with children for a good portion of my lifetime, that's kind of carried over. You just kind of have to help bring them out of it and reset their brain to make sure that they have a positive attitude still about Pokemon. You don't want them to get so burnt out that they just quit Pokemon altogether. So I feel like that's probably been one of the biggest challenges, is just dealing with it myself, as well as helping the other players not get to that point as well.
Yeah, and I think one thing I've learned as well is that to be that example for people as a professor, whether you know it or not, people do look at you as kind of like, what is allowed or what is not allowed. And so while you're playing a game, be conscious about how you act when you play, how you take a loss, how you take a win, making sure that you're showing that good sportsmanship, and that you're just there having a positive attitude. I think positivity is contagious. So if you can be positive and have a positive attitude about what you're doing and what you're participating in, and always having that good sportsmanship of no matter who you're playing and however it went down, telling each other good luck, saying, hey, great game, I really do appreciate that game, it was so fun, all that kind of stuff, no matter what happened, and just setting that example for others to see and to follow really does make a difference, right? Because whether you know it or not, your community does kind of reflect you and what you do and how you kind of act, because if the professor is throwing cards and having a hard time with a loss, what stops a player from doing that, right? How can you tell a player not to do that? That's unsportsmanlike when you do the same. So it's easier said than done, Nobody likes to lose, but you take your losses as a learning experience and a learning moment to understand if you are being competitive and you're playing competitively and you're also a professor. Take those losses like, oh, well, what did I do to lose? And sometimes too, if you're playing somebody, don't always play to win. I think is a good lesson to learn. And what I mean by that is, if you're sitting across from a new player, what better time to teach them about the game as you're playing in a match than to help them, than to just kind of like, hey, let's do this. I'm gonna pass. Like, show me what you would do in this instance, instead of just going, okay, well, I'm just gonna knock you out here. Boom! I have a super competitive deck. I have the best deck there is in format. I'm just gonna go ahead and just light you up and call it done, right? Like, why do that? Because how fun is that to just draw cards and to watch your game just go away? But
Mhm.
maybe make it a teaching moment. If you're playing a game with somebody and they're looking at how can, like, what should I do, what's important on here, and be like, hey, just point out, like, hey, I just want you to know, my Pokemon is weak against your bench Pokemon. Is there a way you can power it up? Is there, do you, it seems that we're kind of like in a tough part right here. Do you play this card? Give them ideas, help them out, help them learn some strategy. And if you lose, then take that as like, oh, I helped them win. Why did I, like, why always make loss something negative, right? It could be something positive as well. So those are some of the lessons I've learned as playing Pokemon, because I am very competitive. But sometimes if you're not playing in a challenge or a cup or even a regional, and you're just there having fun and somebody's trying to learn, then what's the real purpose of winning? What are you proving to
Mhm.
yourself and to that player? You're not really proving anything. But if you can help somebody enjoy the game more by understanding how they can play the game a little bit better, or having a good time, like figuring out their deck. A lot of times I've played players where they built their own deck and I saw that it didn't work out the way they wanted to. I was like, hey, do you want to talk about your build? Like, maybe, like, let's look at how you played. Like, I was really interested in this synergy you had, but I was thinking while I was playing, what if you played this card or this Pokemon in there? Do you play that Pokemon or this card in there? Think about this, and help them out with that, because that's always a great way to start that discussion and have them come up with new and great ways to learn.
Mhm. And that's something that I kinda do with some of our newer players too, is even if I'm playing a competitive deck, sometimes I'll drag out me knocking them out for, like, 2 or 3 turns and kinda seeing how they play it, um, and sometimes if I know that I'm about to win, I'm like, "Okay, hey, this is your turn right before I'm about to win. Let me see your hand and let me help you see if there's a way that we can kind of get away from this and see if there's a way that you can stop me from winning." And I've done that with a few different players. One that we have, um, he has started coming to League a lot and he doesn't play really competitive decks, but he built one. We were playing one night and I knew like my deck was going to win, but I said, "Okay, I'm gonna pass." And he just kind of laughed at me like, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm trying to give you a way to see if you can bring it back." And that's what we did. So for the next like 3 or 4 turns, I just kept passing. Even though I could personally knock it out and give him the game, I just kept going because it was giving him a learning experience and trying to figure out, one, how his deck works together, and two, that was him figuring out his outs, which is something that all players eventually are going to have to learn how to do, is figure out how can I get out of this and try and win. And that's what I was trying to teach him. So sometimes it's not always just about winning. Sometimes it is trying to give those players a chance to express those skills and build on them in order for them to become a better player.
Yes, and that's what it's all about. Because the more players you have that like to play and are skilled at it, the more of your testing pool you have for those who want to be super competitive. Um, and it makes people want to show up and play more at League. And hopefully, be the next person that teaches that new player, hey, like let's talk about your deck here and do all those kind of things. And that's kind of like some of the payoffs you want to see from your community, as you put in this work and effort and making sure that people feel welcomed and teaching new players and attracting new players to come in and play and be a part of the community, and providing these learning experiences. You want to see that kind of come to fruition, right? You planted all these seeds. Now look at your beautiful garden you grew. All these great players that are here welcoming new trainers to the Pokemon community and Pokemon world, and having them enjoy their Pokemon experience and journey along the way. And I think if you ask a lot of these big competitive players that are out there today winning these tournaments, if you ask them about their league experience, at least from what I've heard from all their interviews they've done, is that they've had a great league experience. They had a league where people taught them how to play and show up and have fun, and how to play the game, and help them understand their deck build and how the game works and all those kind of things. And now that's where they are today, is at a high competitive level. And not saying that's the goal of Pokemon League or your community, that to be cranking out Azules and Henry Chows all day, but no, it's more like you're giving the possibility of these players to attain their goals, whatever it is. If it's that they want to be a highly competitive player, then you give them the environment to do that. If they want to just enjoy Pokemon and have fun and be a part of a community that's there to be enjoy Pokemon together with and to have good times with, provide that space and provide that community to have them be able to do that. I think I've said it before. I'll say again, one of my I don't know, most proud moments as a Pokemon professor was seeing this young player who came in first day of league, super shy, and not really, like, had to be kind of dragged in to kind of start playing, and then to come see them a tournament later, or a couple leagues later, doing the same thing for another new player, like teaching them the ropes and teaching them how the game is played and helping them understand their deck. And even during a tournament, it was a friendly tournament, it was a pre-release tournament, but offering them advice and guidance on their deck and saying like, hey, you may want to play this card instead because this is why it'd be a better move for you than playing that one. And having that conversation with them, that was I felt really proud about that, because it was great to see I didn't let my own enjoyment of playing a game go over somebody else's enjoyment of playing the game. And because I didn't do that, they allowed somebody else to enjoy playing and be part of the community and things like that. So that's super cool.
I remember watching that firsthand, that happened, and I was just like, I was super touched as a professor as well. Like, it's amazing to see some of these younger players kind of step up and almost kind of take the initiative to kind of be like a kid professor in a way.
Yeah.
And show the new players. So that was awesome to watch. And I just couldn't even believe, like, this player was still fairly new at the time, like you said, and watching them already teaching somebody else was just like, yes, let's continue more of this. I like this.
Yeah, and so the big thing about that, as a professor, you want to reward that kind of behavior that you see, and make sure everybody understands it. I want to praise in public, so I made sure to know that everybody in the league knew. I was like, hey, I'm giving you an extra prize pack because you did such a great thing with this player and blah blah, and I said it out loud for everybody to hear, so they understand, like, oh, we get rewarded for this. Now, it shouldn't be the driving force of them doing it, but it is a nice, like, pat on the back, and it's something to show, like, hey, I appreciate what you do. I appreciate what you did, and I saw that, and I hope it continues. Because remember, that's the whole thing. If you can only control what's in your bubble, I like to say, right? Like in your center of influence, you can only control what's there. But if you foster a great community environment in your circle of influence, when they go out to regionals, when they go out to bigger tournaments, or even when they go to other leagues, you hope that they bring that attitude to those other leagues and to those tournaments and provide that community. And if everybody's going for the same goal of providing a positive community in their local community, then we're gonna have a positive community globally because everybody's has that same aspect, that same outlook. And I think that's what makes Pokemon so popular now, is because that is true. There's a lot of people who are very positive about Pokemon that love to see people play, and that love to play and love to have fun and want to come because it's a fun and welcoming environment. And so we have to continue that as professors and as just ambassadors of the game, and to the local community, and just to have a good time. So I love to see that. I love to see that kind of get paid forward.
Hmm. Another thing that I always like to do too, and I've done it at a couple of our tournaments, is do like little giveaways for um, the players that consistently like come to league and stuff, or just show up, because it not only shows your appreciation to them for showing up, but also, hey, I value you as a community, even though I can't do a whole lot. Let me give you, like, I made, what was it, like a 5 card pack, or it was a little card pack, but I made like 20 of them one day and I handed them out to everybody, and everybody was like, oh, thank you so much. Sometimes even just those little small things that you can do as a professor really goes a long way.
Yeah, 100%. And like that's a nice thing about official Pokemon leagues, is that Pokemon does give you the tools you need to engage your community and make sure that you are rewarding that positive behavior and rewarding that attendance. So you have prize packs, you have promo cards, you have posters and stickers and a whole bunch of other cool stuff that Pokemon sends for free just to give to your player base. And that's should be the main goal of using all that stuff, is to give it to the players so they have fun coming and they always want to come back to see what else is available to them and to be awarded to. So, but like as Ashley pointed out, right, it doesn't have to be just from Pokemon. You can think of other ways to reward your player base as well, maybe by providing just some cards from your bulk. And or like, or maybe that you see a cool Pokemon poster box collection and you purchase it not for yourself, but maybe to hand out at the next league to, hey, we're going to do a Pokemon quiz, and whoever answers the most correct answers gets this cool poster collection and stuff like that. And just to have fun without having to always have to make it competitive, right? Because those competitive players who are doing really well and win those tournaments, they get compensated for all that as well. But we should also be rewarding and compensating those players who come to have fun and make it fun for everybody else.
Very true. I completely agree. That's why I always like to do little giveaways and stuff. Like I've given away some of my regional mats that I've got because I had extras of the same ones, or ones that I will never use because I have so many play mats already. I feel like as a competitive player, you really accumulate a lot of play mats. So I saw it as a way to, hey, let's do some giveaways, make sure everybody gets something. I've given away double deck boxes before, um, stuff that I've ordered. I mean, it doesn't take a whole lot, but really just showing all of your community how much you appreciate them, and showing them that, hey, I care about you, and this is one way that I can do it.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's really, the biggest thing. Like if I became a professor because I wanted to build a community that fostered a great positive experience for my kids to enjoy Pokemon. And it kind of turned into a thing where I enjoyed Pokemon. So I want to foster that community as well to meet other like-minded individuals that enjoy the game and to have fun. And there's always ways to do that and to build that out. So be creative. Come up with your own ideas on how you can reward your community and how you can build that community. Let us know what you think are best ways to do that. Let us know about your experiences on how you've done that. and ask us questions about maybe some conflicts and some challenges that you're running into with your Pokemon community and how you can handle that. And maybe we can talk about that for you. So once again, it's tmtalkpodcast@gmail.com or at TM Talk Podcast on your favorite social media platform. So I think we kind of touched a lot about this topic about how to build a Pokemon community. It's something I think we can go on for another 3 hours about, but I'm going to cut it here. Do you have any last thoughts for our listeners, Ashley?
We're going to have listeners from all over the place. So if you're listening to this and you're part of a community, tell me what you like about yours. Like, what has your professors done to actually make you want to come back? Because like I said earlier, sometimes certain leagues don't work out for you, but you can't give up and just keep going until you find a league that clicks with you. But I want to see everybody thrive in their own community. So if we can just all help each other collectively, that's what's going to build your community here in the States and in your country and eventually globally. We all just have to work together.
Yep, for sure. And definitely know that don't give up. You're going to find your tribe. You're going to find the people you belong with and the people you connect to. So just put yourself out there, go to a league that's close to you, see how they are. If you don't like it, find another one. There's tons of them out there. And if there isn't, and you want to find that community for yourself, take the initiative and build it. If you build it, they will come. I believe Aristotle said that at one point. But with all kidding aside, if you need help or assistance or want to find out more or share your thoughts, share them with us. You got this and you can do it. So we hope to see you at the next tournament or regional that's out there because you found your community, or we hope to see you around playing. So that's all I got to say about that. I look forward to talking to you next time.
We'll see you guys next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You just used TM Talk. I hope it was super effective for you. Whether you're building a deck or building a league, remember, you've got this and we've got your back.
If today's episode boosted your stats, share it with your party. And until next time, keep training, keep teaching, and keep passing that knowledge on.